Welcome to the 2018 Africa Open Rotax Max Challenge, and we're at Swartkorp's International Karting Raceway. Just outside of Pretoria, and we're looking forward to big action now. Starting things out for this part of the show, we're looking at the Junior Max, and qualifying from Akil Alibai, putting him on pole position ahead of Jared Roberski. Roberski coming off international duties over the last couple of weekends. Leighton Faria is up there, so is Joseph Ools, and Jaden Else just pipping Ethan Kutsia to the front.
Today's a different day to nationals. It's all or nothing.
Yes, it's basically you must try to get in front from the beginning in the qualifying heats, and then in the final you just hope for the best.
Pre-finals, very important because that determines the grid for the final. How are you going to handle it?
I'm just going to basically try to make my way up, stay out of the dirty stuff, keep my nose clean, and see where I can come, where the best place is.
I don't think I did that well in qualifying, so I'm going to have to make it up in the first three races. So hopefully by the end of the third race, I start very high up in the grid, so I can try win the last race for the African Open.
Who are the guys in the class to watch out for?
Probably Kwanda Mokwena, Akil Alibai, Nati, Leighton Faria, Tate Bishop, Joseph Ools.
The grip today is quite a lot, so it's taken me a while to adjust to the grip. And this week, yesterday's race was a bit of a struggle because I've been trying to find the right setup and right engine and swapping between chassis. But I think today I found it. I just finished qualifying and I'm seventh on the grid, so pretty good start.
Who are the guys to watch out for?
Akil's number one. Kwanda's also an amazing, talented driver. Also, I think Daniele Patrizi, those top three, those ones can drive.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping for the good position for first and second race, so I could have a great position for the third. So then I could hopefully win the third race. So then I can go to Brazil to go race there against them. And qualifying wasn't as easy as I thought. It was quite challenging with Jared with such a quick time. But I'm happy I managed to get such a quick time and managed to pull first.
How do you manage a day like today where it's all about the third race?
I just think forward and not stress about anything that's going to happen now, and whatever has to be, it will be. So I'm not really stressed, and hopefully I'll win.
Yeah, it wasn't the qualifying we wanted. We ended up switching engines after free practice. We thought that would have solved the problem, but it didn't. So we think something to do with carburation. But we still have the two pre-finals to get to the front, so we'll do what we have to do.
Yeah, no, the key is just to try to get as high up as you can and try to do well in the pre-finals just to start well for the final.
What is the strategy and who are the guys to watch out for?
I think anybody in the top 10 can win in Junior Max, so it's going to be tough and hard racing.
Heading into the pre-final one now, and you can see them all already starting to shove as they come through there. Joining me in the commentary will be Carl Lawrence. Carl, expecting big things from this Junior Max category, one of the most competitive classes we've got in karting in South Africa.
It's been crazy all the way through the year. It's showed the best racing throughout all the classes. Jared Roberski gets sent a little bit there on the outside by Leighton Faria and Akil Alibai, dropping him down to third into turn two.
Roberski into third as you go into the tunnel for the first time, and starting to push from the back end there. Keep an eye on Daniel De Paiva. Good start from the youngster as he comes through, looking to maybe get up there as quickly as he can. Remember, this is going to be the tricky part of the circuit into the 180s now. And look at Faria. Faria already looking to dive on the inside and possibly take the lead away from that kart number 14 out front. Alibai, though, is showing them a clean pair of wheels right now and trying to open a little bit of a margin.
The OTKs have been strong all weekend on this sort of track. The rubber's come down hard over the last 4 days of testing we've had before this race, and regional yesterday as well. So they're showing a good turn of pace, the two Tony karts up there in front.
And as they get out of and complete the first lap, you can see a little bit of pressure coming from behind now. Roberski once through. The Praga is starting to put the pressure onto the back of those Tony kart chassis, and there is big pressure just behind him. And that, of course, is coming from Joseph Ools. The gold helmet, quite easy to spot, and he's closing down rapidly now. There are 5 karts fighting for the lead.
Joseph Ools been quick all week. He was quickest in the regional that happened here previously, yesterday actually, and I reckon he'll be on this front four pretty quickly.
Coming down into braking markers now. This is a tricky part of the circuit. A couple of guys have tried different lines through there. And let's see whether or not that's going to happen into the latter part of this first pre-final. Faree is applying the pressure, but it's being soaked up there big time. Two RKT boys really going well here and just maintaining a small enough margin to keep Weberski out. Weberski's going to have to be concerned about the Paraíba, and now Ools. Ools is right there.
Weberski's played a clever race so far. He looks like he's got the pace to get past, but he's just hanging in there, hoping that they can get away from the rest of the pack before he starts making maneuvers to get to the front. But now would be a good time to start moving. Als and Ools are looking dangerous behind him.
Yeah, Als, remember, a previous world champion, so certainly knows what to do. And all of these guys, remember, are fighting for a seat at the final in Brazil in the end of November and into December. So it's vital that they get everything sorted out here. Pre-final 1, of course, will determine after their lap times what the grid will be for pre-final 2. Pre-final 2 then, of course, will be set on their grid positions, and that will determine where we go for the big grand final here later on.
Faree seems to be letting Alibi get away there, but so Weberski will be clever now to make his move on Weberski, on Faree, and get onto Alibi.
Yeah, look at that, and there's a little bit of a gap as well to Als, so this is a prime time for Weberski to dive. If he's going to have a go, it'll probably be a good opportunity to go now. You can see he's trying to close down on the back end. Leighton Free's doing the same thing. Faree realizes the pressure coming from behind from Weberski is definitely on, and he wants by, but Akil Alibi is just soaking it up. He really hasn't been troubled at all. He looks so smooth at the front end. Wow, how's that move? Diving on the inside of turn 1. Didn't quite work out, but Ools had a big move there and tried to make it stick. He comes back into turn 2, and this time he cements it.
You can see Als losing the pack there a bit, so it was time for him to move on so he could get back onto the front group for the race.
He comes out of the 180s now. He's got about 10 car lengths to make up on Weberski. Weberski applying the pressure onto the back end of Faree. Faree is losing a little bit of ground there. Akil Aliba, as I mentioned earlier on, looking so smooth. Really hasn't had any issues whatsoever. And although there's been a pressure from behind from both of the carts from behind there, it unfortunately hasn't been able to give them an opportunity to get ahead of him.
Ools had a gap there on the group in front of him and managed to use that gap to put in a blistering fast lap time and put himself on pole for the next pre-final 2.
Yeah, Als has lost out there, unfortunately. He's in big trouble because if you look just behind there's a couple more drivers coming to play, and Tate Bishop and Daniel De Paiva have now also in with a shot and looking for an opportunity. Oh, what a move! That was brilliant! Ools diving on the inside. Weberski saw it coming. Oh, there's a touch! Oh, that's big! Wow, that's massive.
Oh.
Ools and Weberski coming together, and then Weberski gets stuck in the middle. A couple of drivers have to take evasive action. De Paiva, I think, was one of them. Looks like Patrizzi got involved there as well. Wow, that is massive. This means these two are going to get away. There's going to be no issues whatsoever. But hopefully we get a replay of that and have a quick squiz at what went down there. But it looks like as Ools got through there, Weberski tried to shut the door. The two of them coming together, and there's another cart off just on the exit point of turn 1. So, it's got out of shape. That's Ethan Kutsia. He's stuck on the sideline. I don't think he's able to get that cart back on track. He's going to have to wait until everybody goes past. That was incredible action. Wow, big time. Didn't expect that one. These two now getting away. I think Akil Aliba is going to get to the front end and just maintain the little bit of a gap he's got there. I don't know if Leighton Free is going to push him too hard. It's not really about taking the victories here. It's more about the lap times. He's already set a really good lap time. So he's got a nice grid position for race number 2.
It's something these two should be doing if they are teammates. They've got a gap on each other. Why not swap the lead a bit and chase each other?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they've done. They've decided just to maintain, not to go and fight it out. The teammates and team strategy will come into play here. They'll be happy with first and second in the pre-final. You can see the kind of pace they've picked up, which is really good after yesterday's regional. And I think they're going to be pretty happy with the results. 1 and 2 here for the RKT team. It's going to be Akil Aliba ahead of Leighton Faree. And in fact, coming through for third place there, incredibly, it was Conde McQuena. He just missed all the action that went down there with that big incident at the crossover. So confirmation of that pre-final. It's all about Akil Aliba ahead of Leighton Faree. Third place, Conde McQuena, then Daniel De Paiva. Joseph Ools eventually recovered to 5th place, beating Tate Bishop and Kai van Sale. Tiffany Napier, Sibo Solomon, and Natim Siminga comes through for 10th place.
The final's everything, so we're not focusing too much on position right now. But once the final comes, it's all down to the last race, I guess.
Who are the guys to watch out for? Because it's so packed at the front, top 6.
Oh, it's so close, you never know, because none of us can pull away, I guess. Maybe 7 of us can pull away. It's just a whole big train. So you never know who could win. Like yesterday at the regional, I was in 5th and there was this chaos in the front and I actually got 3rd. So it always can change during the race.
Oh, this should be fun and games with Ools and Else on the front row there. Mokoena in third. He's already taken a third place in the pre-final number 3. Didn't quite have the pace there in pre-final number 1. Let's see what he can do now in pre-final 2 as they come to roll up and hopefully get into those tram lines. And we are good to go for race 2 here. Pre-final 2. This is going to determine what's going to happen for the grand final, and of course who's going to win the seat for Brazil. Good start there from Ools. He gets the whole shot behind him. Looks like Else under a bit of pressure. Looks like he might have buckled there. Good start coming out of Patrizi as well. Look for that black helmet in the mid-pack, and already fighting in the mid-pack. You can see Mokoena going side by side with Akil Alibai as they shoot through the tunnel.
Yeah, Alibai and Faria are 2 winners from the previous heat. A little bit further down the grid than I think they wanted to be. They'd have a lot of work to get going to get up to the front of pre-final 2.
Else in second. Mokoena tucked in their 4th place. Not quite where he wants to be. He's got to make some maneuvers. Akil Alibai's got massive amounts of maneuvers to make here. He didn't quite get the lap times in, even though he took the victory. So that's why he's a bit further down than what he'd like to be. But already starting to fight at the front and under a bit of pressure. There you go. Into turn number 1, a change up for second place.
That's Alson Kutsia they're playing, but behind them, Faria and Mokoena also swap positions, putting Faria up into 4th place now, on a charge to get to the front and get on to Joseph Ools.
There's a couple of guys that are on a charge there as well. I picked up on Daniele Patrizi, also starting to make some maneuvers. Hasn't got too far away, and in fact, it's nice to see this pack a little bit tighter. Oh, Faria with a good move. Third, 180, and he gets up the inside up into 3rd place, demoting Ethan Kutsia down another position. So it's now Else and Ools getting away at the front end. Ools leading things out. Faria is moving through there. There comes, it's a big maneuver there from Akil Alibai. He got some great drive coming out of those final 2 turns, and now closes right onto the back end of Mokoena.
Mokoena already getting defensive so early on in the race. It's going to be difficult for Alibai to move forward with Mokoena in front of him. He's a difficult character to pass.
Man with the hardest job right now is have a look and see where that Praga is. Werberski is way down, not where he needs to be. So he's got to try and concentrate on getting up as high as possible, because remember what's going to happen in this one, Carl, is that you've got to get a good position to finish in to get a good grid position for the grand final.
Mokoena getting around Kutsia there when Kutsia was trying to get past Faria through the double ride. It was a bit of a half maneuver and it cost him 2 places, but Werberski's chassis took a bit of damage in the crash there, and it had to be rebuilt between sessions. I don't know if it came together altogether right.
Yeah, maybe
Alibai around the outside.
That's impressive, eh? I was about to say, around the outside there from Alibai making a maneuver, but I think possibly not straightened up 100%. He's going to take a bit of strain throughout the day now, and it might cost him here. So Werberski with lots of work to do, not only in terms of trying to make up positions, but fighting a little bit of damage on the kart as well.
Being a Rotax event, these classes are so close together. It doesn't give you much time between heats to get chassis straight and get them right. So it's going to be an uphill battle from here.
Nice little uphill battle up the hill there over the crossover, and now heading up into the final 2 turns. You can see Faria under pressure. Mokoena is right there, so is Alibai. These are kind of stable mates. Remember, the FA chassis is no longer part of the RKT team, and these guys now taking on, and looks like Mokoena is the meat in the sandwich between those 2 machines coming out of RKT.
Squadron Corsa has been a team on fire of late, and they've put some really good results together through the past few regionals.
And you can't take away anything from Mokoena. He is a man of the moment, and literally when that moment comes, he's normally one to claim it. So let's see if he can find something special here in the closing stages. He definitely want to be either where he is right now or 1 position higher. I don't think there's enough time in this heat for them to close down on those top 2, because they seem to have got away.
Joseph Ools there, always good at leading a pack, always good at maintaining a good pace. He seemed a bit rattled when he wasn't in the front in the previous heat. A couple of moves that should have maybe not been made, but now he's in his element, he's putting in the laps and he's building the gap.
It's incredible to see that he still managed to put in the hot lap even though he was involved in that accident. So it must have happened before the accident and the incident. There's a move from Mokoena on the inside of Faria. Oh, that's just textbook stuff coming from him. Akil Alibai nearly dived around the outside there and almost capitalized. So we head into lap 10 of 15 now, and you can see Ools has pulled away ever so slightly there from Jaden Else hanging on. It's Mokoena up into 3rd place now, with Faria tucked in behind him, Akil Alibai, and right on their tail, looks like that's Werberski just on the back end.
This seems to have gotten a little bit of turn of pace now towards the end. Maybe they just geared that chassis for the latter part of the race, something they should be doing for the final, not for pre-final 2.
Now maybe just testing things out there to make sure that it works. Now as they come under braking for turn 1, Faria on the inside of Mokoena. Makes it stick, runs ever so slightly wide, but just able to make that turn and stay ahead of Mokoena. Mokoena tries to come back at him, but he's also going defensive, so it's not easy to do that when you go down to turn 2. You've got to keep your eye on the man trying to attack from behind, that's Alibai, and still make a maneuver on the man you're attacking, and it wasn't an easy one. Look at the gap, though, between 1 and 2. 1 and 2 have opened up massively. 2nd to 3rd place is more concerning for me. This is the kind of pace that both Else and Ools have got. They're going to be very hard to beat in the final.
I don't think anybody's going to give them half a chance to get away in the opening laps of the final. it's going to be difficult to try and break a gap and make a lead stick and maintain throughout the final race.
Oh, crasher there, unfortunately coming out. That looks like it's 449, and that'll be one of the Mozambican drivers. That's Alain Romane. So he unfortunately is out of the circuit. He's on the one side, Kart's on the other side. Great job there from the SWAT Corps marshals to clear the circuit before this steam train arrived. And it is literally a steam train. Weberski at the back end now, trying to pick up the pieces, trying to find a way to the front end. Just behind them, you can see Daniel Patrizzi and De Paiva fighting with Tate Bishop and Carfen Sale for the top 10.
Tate Bishop is someone I would have thought would have been higher up this weekend, but the rubber on the track has been rather technical to get used to and get to grips with, and a lot of guys are struggling with the setup and not getting it 100% right.
He's had a great season so far, so you kind of would expect him to be a little higher up there after the couple of great outings he's had in the first couple of rounds of this championship. Remember, there's still a championship up for grabs, even though this is a decider for one of the seats for the World Finals in Brazil, and that man looks like he's determined to get it.
That was a phenomenal move. That was absolutely brilliant from Conde.
Diving on the inside. Farid tries to come back at him. Oh, has to go defensive as well because there was a Levi. And a touch between the two of them. Oh, Farid spins out. Farid tags the back end of Mokoena, and unfortunately, that's put him out. That is massive. Leighton Farid, hopefully, well, you know what? That means he's going to be starting possibly second last. That's not good.
Not a good place to be starting off going into a final where the winner takes all in this event. Looked like Conde just cleverly showing back wheels here and there to keep them behind it, and Leighton just misread that and drove straight over the back of them.
Oh, there's a move from Oberski. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. So it looks like Kwanda Mokoena under attack now. Akila Liba wants through. Liba wants that third place. He doesn't want to be in fourth place as the checkered flag comes out, but unfortunately he's going to have to settle for fourth because across the line it was Ools from Els and Kwanda Mokoena just beating Akila Liba to the line. So confirmation of that top four. There you can see it. Jared Roberski in fifth place, beating Ethan Kutsia. Daniele Patrizzi comes through for a great seventh place, beating Daniel De Paiva, Tate Bishop, and Carfen Sale for top 10. There's still lots of action still come our way. Sibu Solomon ahead of Tiffany Napier, Natim Samanga, and then of course Rodrigo Almeida all the way from the Mozambique country as well, doing a super job to finish up in the top 15. Well, just to correct myself, it's actually the fastest lap and of course combined points from the two heats that will determine the grid. That's why you can see Leighton Free a little bit higher up than what I expected him to be. So apologies for that. But now as we come across the line, there we go. Akila Liba trying to get the hammer down, and he does so. Gets the whole shot. Ools dives in right behind him. And you can see around the outside, Leighton Free trying to find the high line to third place, and he finds it. It's a high to low there, but eventually makes it stick. And now under pressure there, you can see Superstar coming once again out of that mid-pack. And you can see in that mid-pack, all of the usual contenders. Weberski with a little bit of issues. 475 already starting to have some problems of his own. That's Greg Malamani, who unfortunately just caught out in the bridge section. But now as they come through the 180s, Levi trying to open up the gap. Same as what he did in the pre-final one. Hopefully he can do that. But Ools, I don't think is going to allow him to get away.
Ools has been strong all weekend, and I think he's got a turn of pace. They'll hang on to Alibi. But Alibi already shutting the door hard on him into turn 2. So it looks like it's already going to be an aggressive race from lap 1.
Jaden Els looking to close things down. Didn't quite get the start he wanted. Mokoena dives on the inside, moves up to fourth place. See a little bit of chopping and changing for the lead here. Ools going for the lead and getting it. Wow, didn't expect that. Aliba opened up the door, and by doing that, I think Farid might get through as well. No, just through the bridge, he was able to keep Farid out.
Ools was very clever there on the apex of turn 2, slowing it down and bringing the pack onto the back of him. Obviously, this nose cone rule in this class is, in all classes, is very difficult. If you just tap the guy in front of you, your nose cone pops in and it's an immediate penalty. So, stopping on the apex there after a move, very clever job. It keeps him open for the next corner.
Now, just make sure that you don't get any of those nose cone infringements that can be delivered. So the top 5 literally starting to open up a little margin. In fact, it might be the top 6 because at this stage they're starting to close down. There's a move once again on the inside of turn number 1. Els gets ahead of Mokoena. So a nice little fight at the front end here. We've got 6 karts in it, and all 6 of them now want to go for that seat to Brazil.
Ools has got the pace though, so Alibi would be clever to stick a move and stick it now. Keep him in the group, keep the fight strong, keep it up until the last lap.
Yeah, don't give Ools a chance to get away here, because I think he showed the kind of pace in that pre-final too. So if they give him any opportunity, he's going to open up the gap and get away. And I think that's why Levi and Farid are staying so close and so evenly matched. As they come to complete another lap across the line there, you can see also a little bit more pressure coming from Els now. And he closes that gap down onto the back end of Leighton Farid.
Ools has already eked out a kart length on Alibi, so Alibi needs to make a move and make it now. Ools is very strong at leading a pack. Very, very strong. Another kart length there out of the tunnel. Move needs to happen soon.
Yeah, you can see just how tight it is between these 5. 6th place at this stage, just a little bit off there, but still in with a shot. There's no doubt about it. If something goes wrong, as we've already seen in pre-final number 1, it can go wrong in a big way. Unfortunately, it's gone wrong in a big way for Weberski because he's nowhere to be seen. he would normally be in the middle of this pack, if not leading it.
No, he's a very mature driver as well, and this is his sort of race, that clever, clinical, thought-out sort of races. Als goes through on Fourie there into turn 1. A nice, clean move from Als. Didn't lose much time on Alibi in that either.
No, nicely done, and gets through to third place now. Can he concentrate on trying to get to the front end? Is there enough time? That's what we've got to take into account here, because remember, it's 5 extra laps. We've got 20 laps of action coming your way, and we're about halfway through it right now. You can see just how much pressure is coming from that third place man as he starts to open up and get to Akil Alibi. Alibi is losing ground to Ools. It might only be 2 or 3 kart lengths at this stage, but every lap you lose that 2 or 3 kart lengths, and by the end he's got away and disappeared.
He's already broken the slipstream on Alibi. Alibi can't pull him back before the end of the straight, so he's already eking out that gap. It's now just a question of whether the engineers or the dads got this set up right in terms of jetting and tire pressures to last the 20 laps.
Now, it's a slightly different format, of course, that you've got to take into account here. We had a 10 lapper to start with, a 15 lapper, and now a 20 lapper, and all of a sudden it changes up. Here we go into the final lap now. Look at the gap that Ools has got. The battle is for second, but unfortunately the battle for second doesn't count, because in this format of racing at the Africa Open, you have to win, and you've got to win this race. If you win this race, the seat is yours, and it looks like Ools is going to hang on.
Phenomenal drive from him all weekend. Very clever drive now in this heat. Kept the gap, kept it maintained, and put in just consistent laps, lap after lap.
Yeah, he just banged them in there, didn't he? Just banged them in one after the other, and slowly but surely, as I said, opened 2-3 car lengths over a couple of laps, and this is the kind of gap you can have. So coming into the final, double left, coming across the line, and your first seat to the World Finals in Brazil belongs to Joseph Ools. He'll be pretty stoked with that. That gold helmet is definitely paying dividend for him this season. He comes through to take the win ahead of Akil Alibi, who'll finish up ahead of Jaden Els. Those two very evenly matched as they cross the line. Leighton Fourie eventually down in 4th place, with Conde McQuena finishing up in 5th. Daniel the Piver comes through for 6th with Ethan Kutsia on his tail. Kai van Zyl and Tiffany Napier in 9th, and a great drive and good recovery there with a damaged kart from Jared Roberski. Tate Bishop just behind him with Daniele Patrizzi, Sibu Solomon, Alesso Angelucci, and Nati Masamanga.
Joseph, you must be very happy with the result today.
Yeah, you know, we were in the dog box in practice sessions, and we weren't sure. We were switching between engines, and we didn't know really where to go. And today, really, I mean, it was tight. We didn't qualify first, and really the top 6, it was so tight. And I think, you know, we really put in so much effort, and yeah, we stunned. I'm so speechless. I'm so happy. Yeah.
Talk me through that. I mean, you in the pre-finals, you look good.
Yeah, we had the pace. It's just we weren't sure from second. You know, it was going to be a dogfight. We knew it would be like that, and we had the privilege to get away because the others were fighting, and I think that let us get away. But every lap I had to keep the consistency, and I saw that the others were catching, and then I had to bang in the times quickly.
Now, at least you've got that peace of mind. You don't have to worry about the Nationals to get the ticket to go to Brazil.
Yeah, but look, we still want to try and win the Nationals. It's not like that's over, you know. But yeah,